Good afternoon, everybody. This is the Dorm Room, and I am your host, Chip Johnson here. Glad to be with you all, just trying to make sure that everything is working right and all of that. As the host, I'm actually not only just hosting, but I'm also operating the behind the scenes and doing different things to just make this a very wonderful experience for everybody. This is Parent University's Dorm Room, and we have a great show lined up for you today with Damien Howard and the staff. I won't say the staff, but Michael Allen from Together Chicago. And then we have some great parents, counselors coming with us. It's going to be a great show. We got some people in the back room. I want you to know that if you're on Facebook Live, go ahead and send in your shout outs to all of your guests. Send in your questions. I'm sure Damien and Michael Allen have some people that they can get to answer some of the questions in the chat as you all are looking. But this is going to be a great show. We are talking about everything today when it concerns parent support. Now, I would be remiss first if I did not just give acknowledgement to the George Floyd family and to the nation today as we anticipated a verdict. He was acquitted, charged on all 3 counts. And I'm telling you, the nation just has a breath of relief. It's almost reminds me of the song that says, waiting to exhale. And I'm just glad that we are in a place now where we can exhale, celebrate that justice was served equitably in this case, and that we can move on now and try to mend a lot of the wounds that we have really opened up with this trial. So we may be talking a little bit about that today too, with Michael Allen and Damien Howard and some of our people here with the Together Chicago and our Parent Champions program. So you're going to want to know a lot about what the Parent Champions program is, but I want you all to really meet some of our people here today. I'm only going to bring 2 of them on right now. Let me just introduce to you Damien Howard, who's on here. What's up? Just a brilliant person. Damien works with us at Parent University, and just really excited about the programming that he does. And then the co-founder of Together Chicago, Brother Michael Allen, is with us today. So we're happy to have you all here today. This is really a great time. Well, first of all, before we get into the dialogue, tell me what you feel about, what's your sense of feeling now about how America is now adjusting to this new news? Michael, I'll start with you.
Yeah, well, I'm sure for many, especially in the Black and brown community, it is a sense of relief and a sense that justice has been served in this case. And certainly for the rest of America, they're hoping that the celebrations that may occur will not devolve into violence and more people getting hurt, more property being destroyed, as might have happened if the case went the other way and he was not found guilty on any one or all of the charges. And so it's a tragedy either way, that somebody had to die in the way that he died. And so it's a heart-rending situation. And so, but we have to face these things each and every day. When somebody commits a crime, we all long for justice for that person that perpetrated the crime to be held accountable for their actions.
Yeah.
At the same time, I think I think about, well, man, could George Floyd still be alive if for 17 minutes he didn't resist arrest? You know, if he had just succumbed and got in the back of the squad car, already handcuffed, and stayed there, he might still be alive, and then Derek Chauvin would not be in prison or going to prison today. And so those are mixed emotions that I have about the whole situation.
Yeah. What about you, Damien?
Yeah, I'll just keep my comments here very brief, based on the fact that I have a lot of talking to do with you tonight here, Chief. Justice and relief are the two words that come top of mind. We have a freedom fighter in this space who you're going to introduce shortly, Justin Walker, who kind of processes and thinks through these things all the time. And I know, just those two words come top of mind. And I know Justin, again, and so many of my other brothers and sisters are just relieved right now because we feel a sense that we got justice today. So that's what comes to mind for me.
Mm-hmm. So Together Chicago, you've done a lot in the city, and I know that you are the co-founder, Michael. You have your vision and your mission here. I have a lot of things that I have on the computer, but you have 5 focus areas that you all have that you are really focused on with Together Chicago. Why don't you just tell us what Together Chicago is and what you all do around those 5 focus areas?
Yeah, thank you so much, Chip. Well, Together Chicago was founded just after 2016 to address the issue of gun violence in the city. And so we are really a backbone organization that focuses on bringing people together from the legal community, the business community, the faith community, government, police, etc., to say, what resources are you willing to bring to bear to help reduce violence in our most violent communities? And so we have a gospel justice initiative that brings about legal services in communities where people find it very difficult or too expensive to get access to legal counsel. And so we make it very affordable, very accessible, so that folks can get their legal issues dealt with in a timely fashion and in an affordable manner. And then we also deal directly with the guys who are pulling triggers. We work with the police to go and give custom notified messages to the guys pulling triggers in the community and giving them an opportunity, an olive leaf, an olive branch, a carrot, if you will, to say, listen, when you're ready to put the guns and drugs down, call me and we'll mobilize whatever resource you need to put the guns and the drugs down and to walk away from that life and do something positive, because you are worth more to our community alive and free than dead or in prison. And then thirdly, we go into the public schools, and we're so grateful for the partnerships we have with CPS that allow us to come into the 3rd and 6th grade classrooms on a regular basis, knowing that those 2 grades are very critical in the development of kids, where they're making decisions about dropping out of school, joining gangs, committing crimes. And so we raise up and mobilize churches to adopt schools and get involved in mentoring and tutoring, not only the students, but also the parents. And I love the fact that even CPS recognized the importance of parents in the process of their children's education, parents' involvement, and therefore you've stood up this organization called Parent University, because parents need help, especially the single moms or the single dads that are raising kids without a partner in the home, a spouse in the home, and that's very, very challenging. It's challenging for 2-parent households, let alone for single-parent households. And so we really think it's important to come alongside both the parent and the child to help them succeed in their educational pursuits. And then we have an economic development plan where we try to bring jobs to the community, working with major corporations as well as small businesses and manufacturing to create economic flows back in the community that have been divested out of for many, many years, especially on the west and the south sides. And then we have the churches coming together to pray and then saying, what can we do in addition to our prayers? Perhaps even answering our own prayers to get involved in trying to be the hands and feet and the voice of Christ in the midst of a very difficult community or communities across the city. And so those are the initiatives that we work in. We don't think there's a silver bullet, but it's more like a buckshot, if you will. And so there's not one answer to the problem of violence. It's multifaceted. So we have a multifaceted approach, and so that's what Together Chicago is all about.
What do you do? I see you have gospel justice. Does that kind of go in tandem with social justice and the things that we're doing in the city? Conversations about what we're having around social justice issues. For instance, our current one is Adam Toledo, and things like that. Are you expanding that conversation with many diverse cultures?
Yes, we get involved in promoting and participating in some of the marches across the city, and then we're also, trying to figure out, well, how can we really help look at the situation in a broader sense. Obviously, again, another tragedy in Adam Toledo's death. That young man did not need to die and should not die, and should not die at the hands of police or at the hands of gangbangers. But it seems, that his life has been so complicated already, and we don't even know half the story. But I'm sure as people begin to delve more and more into that situation, we'll find out that there are issues going on, perhaps at home, issues with the older young men that he was running around with, and of course issues with guns in the community. And so it's a heartbreaking situation all around. So Together Chicago tries to bring to bear again all the different parts of society that can help alleviate or prevent or respond to a situation as tragic and needless as this. And so, yes, we try to get involved in the conversations.
Gotcha. Yeah, there's a lot of work to be done around that as we tend to move towards healing. And of course, the Black Lives Matter movement has really brought us into a lot of focus here. So it's really great. And so now your background, though, Mike, I understand that you are an ordained minister.
I am. I was ordained and for many years served as a pastor. I've served 3 different churches, both here in Chicago and in Houston. And most recently, Uptown Baptist Church on the north side, where I served for 15 years and just resigned to go into this work full time. I really feel God was calling me into this work full time to really try to get my heart and mind and hands around this issue of gun violence and to bring people together to work on that.
Yeah. So did your calling lead you to Together Chicago? How did this all come about from the nuts of the ministry?
Right. So about 7 years ago, there was a shooting outside our church. 5 people were gunned down while we were having what we call our Monday night community meal, where people would come in from out of the community and come into our church and receive a free hot meal with a smile and with love and tender care. And they come in and have a brief devotional time, and then they go downstairs to the fellowship hall to eat. And during that devotional time, I heard the shots outside, stepped outside the church door. 5 people were on the ground, some of whom had just come out of our church, having eaten a meal with us. And one man died of his wounds to the head. And when that happened, that really stayed with me. It troubled me because it came so close to home and was right there. Blood was pooling at the church steps. And so I reached out to Vance Henry in the mayor's office, and I said, Vance, you got to help us. I need to know as a minister I need actionable information to minister to both sides of the gun. I want to know who it is that's pulling triggers in our neighborhood, and I want to know the victims so that we can bring to bear whatever resource we as the church have in our possession to share with those in need. And so Vance is the one that really opened the door to me to begin receiving some training that was going on in a program called Custom Notifications with the Police and the National Network for Safe Communities. And so I got involved. And the more I got involved, is the more God just began to help me see that there's a space, a vacuum that needed to be filled with people of goodwill that are able to be conveners and connectors. And I'm a connector. That's the way God has wired me. And so and I use that gift of connecting people to come to the table, to convene, converse, covenant, and catalyze resources to solve problems. And this is a whopper of a problem, right? I mean, this is one of the biggest problems we have in our nation. is this issue of gun violence, and it affects disproportionately the Black and brown communities more than any other community. And so I just thought there's got to be something that we could do more together than we are doing separately. And so over a period of about a year and a half, God just began to help me see my way clear and release me from the pastoral ministry to enter into this new work.
And in that development and in that trajectory of your path and of your calling, you felt the need to look into the educational part of things, where Together Chicago would reach into our school systems, our communities, and things like that. And how did all of that transpire? And how did you reach into Damien Howard's life?
Yeah, Chip, this is such a great question, and it's such a great story. In the early days of Together Chicago, before we actually incorporated, I was having meetings with very influential leaders across the city. And James Meeks, Pastor James Meeks, I'm sure you know him well. He was still a senator at the time and pastoring his church there in Roseland. And he came to one of my meetings because he's a personal friend. Mm-hmm. And in that meeting, he revealed to me something that, again, it just shook me. He said that their 3rd and 6th grade kids, well, first of all, he shared the statistics of what's called the 30 million word gap? Mm-hmm. Inner city kids and how many words are spoken in their home by the time they get to kindergarten versus suburban kids and how many words are spoken in their homes by the time they get to kindergarten. There's a 30 million word gap. And the number of hours that parents read to their kids in the inner city versus those in the suburbs, et cetera, those contexts. And then he said, people who are building prisons decide when and where to build a prison based on the number of kids in 3rd and 6th grade that are not reading at that 3rd and 6th grade level and are dropping out of school, joining gangs, committing crimes. And that blew my mind, Chip. It hurt my heart. And so as we developed our strategy for Together Chicago, we listened to the different leaders in the community that told us these are the issues that help to drive the violence. And so if you can address those issues, you will simultaneously address the issue of gun violence. Mm-hmm. And so we said, okay, well, then we got to target the 3rd and 6th grades, and we got to help mobilize volunteers to come in and read, just like Pastor Michael Neal has been doing on the South Side with his reading program, raising up, Black men to come into the schools and read. And so I don't even remember who it was, but somebody on our team said, if we're going to get into this education space, there's this young, dynamic, brilliant man that we have to meet. And so we brought him in and we interviewed with him, and I was like, this guy is amazing, and we need him on our team. And so we went out and found the money, raised the money, and said, brother, you need to come work for us, and please help us, because we need a mind and an attitude and an experience like yours to fill this gap. And so that's how we got introduced to Damien.
Well, you're in the right space, because I'm gonna tell you, this whole pandemic has just set our kids so far behind, and we are just really concerned. We just opened up our high schools yesterday, and of course our elementary schools were coming in, but these are only our students who have opted in. Our goal is to really get all of our students back in school, and it's a critical need, because the longer they stay out, the more farther behind they're falling.
Yes.
And it just and the fall, the fall is much faster than the ascent,
Yes.
So we're just really hoping that we can really get our kids in school and get our parents really to understand the need to support their children through this education. But I'm really proud of what Damien Howard has been doing as well.
Yeah,
got his background in special ed. Damien Howard, I'm going to add you here to the dorm room.
Good to be in the dorm room with you guys.
This is the dorm room here, baby, where we just let it all talk. It's no holds barred here. We just talk about the serious matters, and I'm really glad that you got the guests that you brought in too, because I just want the parents to understand just how important it is that we need them to support these children in schools, whether it's their children, other folks' children. Remember, we had the whole village that just kind of helped raise us. So to that end, Mike, I mean, Reverend Meeks is a very dear friend of mine. I was with him when he was the pastor of Beth Eden Baptist Church.
Wow.
Before he even started Salem. And then I did go over. I'm a musician as well, so I did go over there and try to help him out before he found his minister of music. So I helped him when he was at the church on Jeffrey, where it just but he's doing some great work. Absolutely. And Alan Connolly is my director of our faith-based faith-based initiatives. And he's really doing some work in the community around trauma crisis. Just really bringing parents in as well. So I think he's very closely connected to Damien in the work too. But Damien, let me get to you.
Perfect.
Let me talk about your Parent Champions program. First of all, let me talk about your background. Okay, how did you get to this position where you are, and what's your passion for it? And then we'll get into Parent Champions.
Talking about how did I get into the position? I think Michael went back about 7 years. I'll go back half of my lifetime because when I was a junior in high school, I didn't know what I wanted to do. The only thing I knew is that I wasn't going to college. But it was this young man by the name of Dante, who was just a key force in my life. He was like the star running back. He would get all the kisses from the girls, and me with my little short, chunky self with chubby cheeks. I'm like, I can't get the girls like Dante, right? So there was a little bit of envy and jealousy there. And again, junior year towards the end, I got an opportunity to serve in the special education department. And in those times, Chip, you will be able to resonate with this. A lot of schools will have special ed kind of separated and segmented, even to separate parts of the school building. And seeing Dante there, not knowing where he was throughout the school day after we were bused into the school together, I would never see him, especially not in my honors classes. I was like, something is wrong with that. That there propelled me into a field or a practice of special education. Both of you guys know now I'm at a point where I have about 15 years of experience as an educator, but I got to jump back a little bit because God also called me to ministry during those 15 years, right? So I went to seminary. I got to shout out a local pastor, Charlie Dates, because he was the only Black guy that I knew who went to seminary, right? Who got a master's in divinity studies. So I'm like, dude, talk to me about this. Where should I go? Where shouldn't I go? Those type of things. And eventually I kind of followed his lead and went to Trinity Evangelical Divinity School. When I got out of Trinity, Chip, there was this sense of, okay, I really want to plant myself in an area with all of who I am as an educator, as a minister, as a dad, everything, all of who Damien Howard is. I want to plant myself in one area. And by the way, that's where I met you because I taught at high school on the near west side of Chicago. I had a burgeoning young church plant on the near west side of Chicago. We were doing community work over there. We were doing entrepreneurship work. And I'm going somewhere with this. We were doing violence reduction work, and I'm going somewhere. We were doing education and mentoring, and guess what? Damien burned himself out. Yeah. I remember during that time, it was just rough on my whole family. We had a miscarriage and different things of that nature. And a lot of it, I believe, was based on the stress of me trying to operate as a one-man band, right? So when I found out about Together Chicago, and this opportunity to connect myself to an existing vehicle that had resources that I would never be able to get on my own, right? And be able to live into all of these things as far as education, violence reduction strategies, gospel justice. It was providential for me. It was a heaven sent. It's like, this is the right place for me. So as much as they were smiling when they learned of me, I was over here doing backflips, and I can't even really do a backflip. I think I did one when I learned this opportunity Together Chicago. I'm talking about I'm already cheesing naturally, but I'm ear to ear grinning because this is just, I can't think of a better fit for myself that allows me fully to be who I am as a minister, and then also who I am as an educator, bring all of those things together for the benefit of my city. So yeah, that's a little bit of the story.
So what about your passion, I'm sure, as a teacher, led you into really wanting to connect more with parents?
Absolutely.
We really try to create in our parent university, we try to connect with parents. I mean, we got all kind of parents from 16, even all the way up to 85 who are being surrogate parents for their children. One of the things that I have found that has been very difficult is trying to get that middle group of parents to really, and the younger group, of course, but the younger group and the middle group, those are the hardest ones that I'm trying to reach. when we do our parent university workshops. We have our parent advisory councils in schools. We have our local school councils and things like that. So we're really trying to do it. And then our parent university programs, our face-to-face virtual programming and workshops. You know, we have a lot of good professionals that come on to teach math, to teach social emotional learning, to do it. They do Zumba, they do cooking, they do a whole lot of things. But one of the things that we're trying to really mobilize is that younger group. So I know that you have a parent champions, is what you call it, that offers social emotional learning training for parents. And I know that this is a very serious topic for those of us here in Chicago Public Schools. We just launched our Healing Centered project that really focus on the nuts and bolts and really a holistic approach on providing healing through crisis trauma, all kind of things in our school system for both parents, staff, and students. And it's really a great initiative that we just launched. So I want to hear more about the Parent Champions program. Tell our audience more about this. And just for those who are just tuning in, I want you all to know that you are here with Parent University Dorm Room. Our guest, Damien Howard, with the Parent Champions program under the umbrella of Together Chicago. And Brother Michael Allen is joining us too. But hold on, we got some guests. We got parents, counselor, deans, and all that are joining us in a few minutes. But Damien, tell us specifically about the Parent Champions program.
Absolutely. 2017, 2018 was my last year working full time for CPS. Again, I was there at Crane High School. I really felt like I hit a wall at that time because I'm just like, man, I love what I'm doing here. If we got any Crane folks who are watching this, I feel like my whole family loved me, the energy I provided, the expertise I brought to my practice. But I started to feel like, man, I have greater capacity within me. Once more, you heard me say it a moment ago, to impact positive change, not just in one school, but across my city and even beyond. So when I started to get that feeling in that sense, I'm like, okay, what can I do? What can I put my hands on to impact positive change? And I really kept coming back to this work of social and emotional learning, because at that time I had been exposed to the work of CASEL, the Collaborative for Academic and Social Emotional Learning, which said that, like if you grow these core competencies within kids, they're going to win, not just in the classroom, but in all of life. And once more, who I am as a minister and as an educator, I'm just like, that's what I want. I want kids to win in the classroom, but not just in the schools. We want them to win in the communities. We want them to win in all of life. So as I started, really trying to investigate how can I position myself to be a champion of social and emotional learning, it started with me going in classrooms and working with kids. But I was like, hold up. If I do that, I'm only there once a week or once every 2 weeks. Like, what about trying to do some training for the people who are in front of these kids every day? So from there, I really started focusing on teacher training first and foremost, and then also some training for some of my administrators that I was working with about 2018, 2019 school year. And then again, I was like, hold up, wait a minute. Like, like who's training parents or who's working with parents? Because yes, we are in front of kids during the totality of the school day, but how much more of an impact and how much more of a transformative type of value can be offered to that kid's life if their parents are really understanding the power and the potential of social and emotional learning. So to that point, I now get to the answer to Chip's question. It's like, you had to do all of that to get. Yes, I did have to do all of that to get to the answer. The Parent Champions program is a virtual platform where we come together with people like Erlene, who you all are going to meet in a moment. Literally, I had 60 parents that I work with this school year from across the whole city of Chicago, y'all. And we talk about things like, how do I have greater self-awareness? How do I manage my emotions in a way that allows me to be more stable in my life, to stress less so that I can be the parent, I can be the husband, I can be the wife, I can be the colleague that I need to be in my own lived experience. One of the other core competencies, how do I make more responsible decisions consistently that allows me to be more prosperous financially, that allows me to be in a more empowered place mentally? These are the things that SCL is already conditioned to talk about. And I'm saying, let's create a space for parents to come into this community and learn that when you grow your social and emotional competencies and wellness, that then you get strategies to not only help your kids, but to help you. And when you are healthier, when you can stress less, that's going to change your whole community and your whole environment. Chip, I got to say right now that ultimately a vision is that this is the work that can transform and positively impact the culture of schools. When you have parents who are really embracing the value and the power of social and emotional learning, and then they're transferring that power to their kids, and then those kids are going to schools more self-aware, more socially aware, with heightened relationship skills. That is the stuff that changes cultures of schools. So that really excites me about the work.
So you have a lot of work that you did, and you sent me a note about your wins here. I mean, some of the things that you did in 2021, where you had decreased parent stress, you reinforced SEL strategies with kids, you training other parents, impact school culture. So what makes you so special? What makes the parent program so special?
Well, Chip, I believe it's, well, first of all, I wanted to give a little history a moment ago, because what I have right now was steeped in history. It was steeped in the fact that I've been working at this for 3 years, experimenting with different things and really seeing what sticks. When you say what makes the Parent Champions program special, or I would say the Champions program as well, because we also have educators who sometimes come onto the platform, I believe this is what makes it special. In 2020, 2021, Castle, they have produced multiple papers that are really raising up that SEL is the key thing that we need to be talking about for diversity, equity, and inclusion conversations, right? If we really want to be about that work of seeing greater inclusion, seeing greater equity in our school environments, y'all better be doing SEL. And this is the reason why, I believe anyway, and this has always been a part of my practice. Everybody who's backstage right now, they've heard me say this. When I come to an SEL space, it's not for me to be a sage on the stage, but it's for me to be a guide alongside. This is what makes us special. We create an environment, we create a space that's centered around some theme like mental health, centered around a theme of self-awareness, all of the things I've been throwing out that are kind of key to social and emotional learning. And then at that point, I try to do my best to facilitate the conversation and step back and let the parents now have a space whereby they are empowered to let their voices be heard, to talk about things that they are already doing and that they can do more of to experience greater success in life. I think oftentimes, Chip, and I'm giving you a little bit of my secret sauce here, but I'm gonna go ahead and give it anyway. I think oftentimes, especially in the education sector, and this is part of the reason why I started this work, is that we show up to pontificate and give the best of what we have here, because we know so much and we believe it so passionately. And some of us went and got 3-4 degrees, right, to study these things. But the way that I try to remix my work is, yeah, I got some degrees. Yeah, I have some intellect. But what I want more than anything is for y'all to talk. And even like you're probably hearing in the chat, as soon as people are coming in, I'm commenting like, yo, so glad to be in this space today. I want you to engage. I'm always thinking about how do we increase engagement? And we have multiple spaces whereby we do that. We do it via Zoom. We do it in Facebook. You know, we do it through the course material that we're sending out. So we just want parents to be able to engage, raise up their voice, and we celebrate their voice when they do that.
Okay. So I know we have some guests in the room waiting, but one that really stood out for me is decreasing parent stress.
Yeah.
And you had some strategies that you trained one of your parents actually to do, and that it really turned out something great for her and the parent champion program. Give me a little bit more about what you do to decrease parent stress, because you know that's probably one of our biggest things going on right now in the district.
Well, again, I love how.
And if you want your guests to talk about it, I'm fine with that too, Damien. You can bring them in if you want.
I'll intro it very simply, and then I'll let Erlene come and just speak from her heart on whatever it is she wanted to say.
Okay.
One of the things that I love about my work is I get to really borrow from all of the great tools and resources that are already out there with social and emotional learning. It's just one that I'll mention right now. Oftentimes we talk about SEL, and I know a lot of CPS schools use mindfulness strategies. I'm talking to parents about how can you embrace mindfulness strategies and practice mindfulness strategies in your own life not just when you need to use them because you feel stressed, but in a preventative way, and a way whereby you're getting ahead of different stressors to allow yourself, again, to be stable, to allow yourself to feel grounded. So that's one of the strategies that I share with people like Erlene, who's definitely backstage, and maybe she can come in here and talk about what the experience is like for her.
So let me tell you, Erlene has some connectivity issues. And so she's probably trying to reconnect, but I'm sure you got the dean here that can talk a little bit about some of the things that he do. You want to intro Justin?
Yeah, so Justin is one of our new friends that we met. Justin, which is kind of unique for some of my schools, they'll say, Damien, yes, we will allow you to work with a parent, but also their staff members that we want to onboard into the Parent Champions program. I think the real reason they let staff join is because they're kind of watching behind the scenes. They want to get beyond the veil and make sure that I'm not giving any like crazy information to their parents. But then as well, you know, again, if we're going to change culture of school, we got to get on the same page with this stuff. So I love having staff come in. I love having parents come in. And then ultimately we're together saying that SEL is important and we need to do more of this with our kids. So Justin Walker, who's in the back and who's about to come up, he's a champion of SEL. He's a brother who gets invited to give SEL lectures and workshops across our city. And I'm happy that he was able to be a part of this last Parent Champion session that I did for Chicago parents.
Justin, yeah, I lost you for a minute, brother. I'm glad the Lord brought you through.
I appreciate it. He gonna keep me. Yeah, thank you for the opportunity. Man, I always hate when I gotta follow Damien. Like the man comes in and take up all the good air, and I'm expected to say something new. But yeah,
as the dean of the Chicago West Side Christian School, is very, very targeted. Okay, what you're dealing with. Okay, you're dealing with Christians and you're dealing with Christian principles and values and things like that. Tell us about your work with the school and then with your work through the Parent Champions program.
So my work is, I'm responsible for all things discipline, social emotional learning, and safety at my school. And so one of the things that I wanted to make sure that I implemented in this role was not only SEL for SEL's sake, but actively working to dismantle systems of oppression, right? As mentioned before, I've done SEL and restorative justice training all over the city. But one of the things that I've noticed is that oftentimes SEL or restorative justice is just a buzzword, and it's performative, right? It's not being done in solidarity with people, but it's something that's being done to someone, which is, I don't know the professional way of saying it, but trash. And so one of the things that I actively work to do is to move from simply being trauma informed to being healing centered, right? Especially where Black and brown students are concerned. There's so much push in CPS and in education in general to do trauma-informed care, but there's very little attention paid to what healing actually looks like. And then when we finally do look at healing, we look at healing as a destination as opposed to healing being a journey that you're constantly going under. And so at the school, I believe in curating healing spaces. And one of the ways that I do that is through the use of SEL, not just with my students, but also with my parents and my staff. Several times, recently finished doing a training on anti-racist restorative justice and restorative practices. There's a follow-up coming on adult SEL and how that is pivotal. And I want to speak to something that Damien said earlier with regards to why this work is so important where parents are concerned. As great of an educator as I think I am, right? I am fully aware of the fact that on a good day, I have my children for 1/3 of the day. 33% of a day is not enough time to create impactful, lasting change. I need to make sure that 100% of the time my children are in a position to be nourished and to be motivated and to grow. Parents are that other 67%. And that's just on a school day. Summers, I don't even have them, right? So it's really about increasing their capacity. And when we talk about SEL being the linchpin or the key, right, to creating this transformation, if you've ever been on an airplane, you're told that in case of an emergency, you put your air mask on first before you worried about trying to help somebody else. I believe SEL works the same way, right? I can't, in full faith and confidence, tell you this thing works if I'm not practicing it. If I'm a parent, I can't tell you in full faith this thing works if I'm not practicing it. As an educator, I can't tell you this thing works if I'm not practicing it. So that's my very convoluted and indirect response to the question. That's my intro. Again, Damien stole all my thunder.
Right. So how does the training work at the school? And I want to bring Damien back in just to engage in this conversation too. But how does the training work at the school to really make the parents feel motivated and that there's a need for this at Chicago West Side or at any other school in the city?
So at Chicago West Side, one thing that I do is every quarter I host a parent night. Because especially this year with the pandemic, I realized that parents were being inundated with having to learn new technology and worrying about what's best for their kids and how to navigate safety concerns and all these things they never had to worry about before as parents. I also realized the teachers are learning things that they've never had to learn how to do before either. So our parent nights are based largely in the things that Damien and I have talked about through the Parent Champions, as well as through Search Institute has a curriculum.
Mm-hmm.
Sorry about that. Yeah, Search Institute has this entire curriculum on fundamental and developmental relationships. And they talk about the importance of sharing power and expanding possibilities and expressing care and all of these types of things. So our meetings are literally a space for parents to want to express care, but also feel cared for.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Which is.
Go ahead, Damien.
Yeah, I just wanted to add, but I didn't know, Justin, I didn't know you weren't done, bro. You had something else you wanted to say there.
Go ahead.
Yeah, no, and yeah, I love Justin starting off that way, because when we have schools that already have spaces for parents, now we have a parent champion, and at Chicago West Side is Miss Wright, who we were able to work with, who can now go into those spaces and be that champion for social and emotional learning in tandem with what the school is already doing. Mm-hmm. So we're just on the cusp of now getting into that conversation, that now this parent has been exposed to the training. Now, how do we mobilize her that going into the next school year, in some instances, we're talking about over the summer, to now have these parents once more be champions of SEL within spaces that the school has already curated to mobilize parents.
And to that point, speaking specifically of Miss Wright, if you're listening, greatly appreciate you. But one of the things that we use Miss Wright for now, so when I have these parent nights and I need a co-facilitator, I have a parent who knows where I'm going with this, right? Who understands, who's had training on this. Also, I'm aware of the fact that traditionally speaking, administrators get a bad rap. If an administrator's phone number pops up on your caller ID, you assume your kid did something and you are immediately on the defensive, right? I can now use Miss Wright in a way to help soften that blow, right? Mm-hmm. It's now the relationship comes first. And I think that's the important part, right? When we talk about social emotional learning, that social component is key. And so going back to this idea of how social emotional learning is so wrapped up in diversity and equity initiatives. I think the cool thing about social emotional learning is that it actively attempts to dismantle this false notion that there's a human hierarchy of value, right? We are all equals. We are all people. We all have value. And I think in becoming more self-aware, you're able to shave off a lot of the garbage that's been thrown at you forever about your value. Mm-hmm. Right? And that really, it's weird, right? In a school setting, acknowledging the historical context of school and how oppressive school can be at times, just right. In systems, right? Having a system that forces a person or encourages a person to to come into their own value is not just transformative, it's revolutionary. It's a revolutionary idea. And I don't mean as in brand new, because SEL has been practiced with indigenous people forever. But it's revolutionary in the fact that it is actively working against a system that don't really want you there, which I think is so important and so powerful.
How many parents do you have participating with you?
On average, I have about 20 families who attend our parent nights every quarter. Okay.
What does the recruitment strategy look like, Damien, when you look at this type of mobilization in the schools? What does your recruitment strategy look like?
Yeah, I just gotta say ILL real quick, because Justin just representing real strong for U of I right now.
We out here.
Hey, and Damien, before I want you to talk about the recruitment strategy, but I don't want to forget, we got your counselor in here too, Nancy Fernandez.
And Erlene. Oh yeah, Erlene, because she has some connections. So we certainly get Nancy in, and I'll just cue it up when I have an amazing opportunity to introduce Nancy, because she's just so powerful as well. We got some powerful people we're working with here.
I'm gonna bring back Michael Allen too, just so in case he has any questions.
Cool.
Because Justin keeps dropping off, so I want to make sure that in case there are any questions here that Michael Allen has, that he can join. Like I said, we're in the dorm room, Parent University's dorm room, and this is how we do it. We talk with each other, over each other, at each other, but always respect for each other. This is the dorm room. So we got Justin back. Justin, I know you dropped off, but hey, you back now.
Sorry about that. Yeah,
we understand this is what it has been happening since March 17th of 2020.
Hey, at least you haven't had to tell me to come off mute, so I'm doing better.
Right. So, Damien, your recruitment strategy, tell us about it.
Yeah. So first and foremost, as Michael alluded to earlier, we really had a heightened emphasis in communities on South and West side of Chicago, low income communities that have been ravaged based on dynamics of just not having equitable access to resources. So that's first and foremost, that there's a strategy as far as who we are targeting when we go and desire to work with schools. And when I go into those schools and I talk about the Parent Champions program, the amazing thing that has happened that I wasn't even aware of going in, I didn't necessarily know who the principals will point out and tell me this or that person should be parent champions. But these are leaders like Ms. Wright, who I referenced a moment ago, who are already parents who are active and engaged in their school community, right? So when we come and ask principals, okay, who could be the ideal parent that we can work with that can be raised up as a champion to help mobilize other parents, and then also to be a facilitator with social and emotional learning as well within the school building. They have consistently directed us to powerful parent leaders who are not just being raised up to be leaders. They are already leaders in the school. They're already advocates in the school. They're already people who've been raising their voices and wanting to see impact and change in the school. So, Chip, to your question, principals make my recruitment super easy because they're just giving me the dopest people that they already have. And I'm thankful that even though these people are dope, they really feel that our program can help take them to the next level.
So tell me about, so I know you got a lot of good parents that are motivated in Chicagoland Christian. How does it look in Chicago public schools?
Yeah, so
I know you got about 60 mentors right now, but I know you got to have more than that now. So how does the recruitment look there?
Yeah, so it's a couple of examples, but one I'll mention here at Suter, right? On the near west side of Chicago, because we just we have a commitment to that community. The parent's name is Shamika, right? So Shamika was trained by me last semester with the Parents Champions program. What Shamika then did this semester is she started a 4-part training that focused on, again, the things that we've talked about during this session to really help her parents to have a space to talk about things like mental awareness. just not mental awareness. What am I trying to say? Mental health. There it is. Yeah, to talk about things like mental health. And it was amazing because she invited me to come to that first session that the parents were like, yo, it was a struggle for them to open up at first. But when they opened up and said, like, during this pandemic, things have been super rough for me, right? And I'm just so thankful that we have a space like this that I can come to and just be and share and know that there are others here who can resonate with what I'm going through. So to answer your question, Chip, we have examples peppered throughout CPS as well, whereby parents were trained and they even went into schools that either had a parent convening like what Justin had, or I think of Ruth Bailey, a legacy school, who didn't even, she helped them to actually start their parent group and their parent convening. And she's had at least 3 sessions as well, and bringing in community partners to help address some of the issues that parents in that community have been facing.
Okay. So tell me about the work that the counselor is doing in the school. I'm going to let you introduce her, Nancy Fernandez.
Man, we got Nancy in the space, in the place to be. I'm going to tell you, one of the people that I'm seeing commenting a lot here today, Norma, she really challenged me when I first started thinking about and ideating what this work could be. That, Damien, we have to make sure that we have a complement of your work that also supports our Spanish-speaking communities, right? So that's something over the last year and a half I've been really processing through, thinking about, and I had the privilege and pleasure through another amazing CPS employee, Tanisha Jointer. Yeah, who did some work with me. Actually, the parent training that Justin was a part of, Tanisha helped me to facilitate that training. So anyway, when I learned of Tanisha and I, learned how amazing she was, I said, Tanisha, who can help me do the same type of thing that you can do for our Spanish-speaking communities? And she said, Damien, I have your person. It is Nancy. And ever since then, Nancy and I have been having a lot of one-off conversations, and I just love everything about what she's been able to do at her school. And I'm just going to stop there. I don't want to take all the air. Like Justin says, I take all of the air. I want her to come in there and talk for herself about the amazing things she's been able to do as a counselor.
Hi, everybody. Thank you for having me here. This is definitely an interesting conversation and an interesting platform to be on. So I've actually been with CPS since 2003 as a teacher and a school counselor since 2009. And at the school that I'm currently at is actually in Brighton Park. And so that is a huge Hispanic neighborhood and a lot of low-income families, right? And so bringing the mental health awareness, not only to our students, but our parents has been very, very crucial, especially now. And being able to reach out to them and continue to have them feel connected to the school while we are in remote or hybrid learning. I've been able to support the school. This year, one of my big accomplishments that I had, we did earn the RAMP recognition for the school counseling program at my school. I'm the sole counselor, so it's kind of nice to have that. Which basically means that we are data-driven and we are following the American School Counselor Association standards and making sure that we are meeting our students and family needs in a variety of areas, whether it's social emotional, whether it's college and career, academic readiness. So there's a lot of work that we've been doing there with a lot of SEL curriculum that we have implement on a weekly basis. Actually, I was just in the middle of finishing my schedule for the supports that I'm going to be providing for teachers, using Second Step, doing the child protection unit, the bullying unit, Leader in Me, because we're really focusing on making sure that our students are able to have opportunities to be leaders, right? And at the same time, finding ways to engage our parents in order for them also to show their leadership within their own community, but then also with our school community itself. I've been able to support in the school getting exemplary supportive schools We've been able to renew it again for the next 5 years. We are also, I always forget what it's called, but it's the community schools, something.
Community in schools.
To support with that initiative in our school as well. So that's just something that SEL, I've been blessed with awesome administration that really supports the SEL, not only for the students, but for the adults in the building, including the parents, and having a lot of restorative practices within the school, having a lot of those talking circles with from everybody, right? The children, the staff, the parents, and giving them those skills through our PAC and our back meetings with our bilingual parents as well. So it's been great, and I'm still on a journey. To extend some of this work. Right now, our parents need so much support in getting resources, or just even know how we've been talking about lowering their stress levels, right? And I am really big on mindfulness. And so I was actually mentioning to Damien the other day, if you visit my office at school, everything I have on my wall is all about mindfulness and coping strategies of how we can reduce stress. And it's not just for the students, but it's something also that the parents who do come into my room are strategies that I am sharing with them. So it's great. And I'm looking forward to having everybody back in the building. Fourth quarter is definitely giving us an opportunity to add more students back into the building. Mm-hmm. So I'm excited for that, because it's so much easier to have them in front of you. Yeah. Versus virtually. And that's the support that they need, right? They need that in-person contact. Even the parents need that, right? Just so they can feel validated, just so they can feel heard, and just so they know that the school continues to be a big support for them.
How does it feel now, Nancy? How does it feel? How are your parents? And listen, what's the name of your school?
Brighton Park Elementary.
Right,
and it's okay. In the Brighton Park neighborhood.
Got you. Good. How are your parents feeling now as they've been preparing to come back and now are back, and some of them still trying to feel like they want to come back? So what have you been dealing with in terms of the stress factor that we've all had since the pandemic?
Stress has been going like a roller coaster, right? Mm-hmm. And right now that we just had the last wave come in for fourth quarter, that level of stress for everybody, not just the parents, has increased right now, right? So we're kind of, before students were coming back for fourth quarter, it was kind of like, oh, we actually, my school dean created a video for the parents to be able to get a visual of what it's like to be back in the building with the students that had already been in the building from pre-K to 5. Mm-hmm. And now that we have the middle school students back and the new fourth quarter students coming back this week, you know, we were able to provide some of that exposure by creating a video of what it looks like in the building and showing students participating in activities. But when the reality hits of it's my first day that my kid has to go back, or my child is feeling nervous because it's been over a year, those are definitely stressful transitions for all of our families, and even for us, of, you know, having that comfort level of being back in the building, and how are we going to continue making everybody feel comfortable and safe at the same time for their own health, right? And so what we've been doing a lot is we've been having a lot of surveys and questionnaires go out to our families. And as a matter of fact, we are actually, tomorrow's our scheduled report card pickup. So we have a lot of virtual meetings with our families where I have been invited to join with some of my teachers just to provide some of that support, some of that social emotional support of like, okay, your child has been back in school for these many weeks, or the last 2 days. How is it going? So helping facilitate those conversations, and just reaching out. And we do also have, we use a platform, Class Dojo, and then we also have our Facebook and Instagram pages where we do try to communicate all this information to the parents, and we invite them into the building when we talk to them and we sense that that level of stress is really high. We invite them to come into the building, because I think coming into the building just gives you that reassurance, a better reassurance that they are looking for. And so they're always welcome to come in and either one, tour the building, or just come and talk to us about whatever their concerns are.
Mm-hmm. One of the things that I did talk to Damien about, and that we're really focused on in our district, and I'm sure Nancy, I'm sure you speak fluent Spanish. One of the things that we are really focused on is providing that translation across the district, because we see it as a real critical need for essential communication across our parent body. So, Damien, I know that you've immersed yourself not only just in English-speaking platforms, but also Spanish-speaking platforms. How has your parent champion program increased because of that effort to move into a different culture, so to speak?
Yeah, so just recently, we onboarded a new school, West Park Elementary School, excuse me. And Rosara, who's again, a parent leader who actually works for the school. And yeah, she's just amazing. However, she made it very clear to me, Damien, that in order for my parents to access this work, I know it's very powerful work. I believe that everything you say, that there's power in that, that's going to be helpful for the community. But they can't get it if you're talking just like you're talking to me, right? We need some translation for either, you know, Spanish-speaking populations exclusively, or bilingual speakers and parents. So again, to have Nancy working with me and to be able to have her, she just recently met Rosara when we had our last, what we call parent hangout. Rosara, she asked me that question, like, Damien, what am I going to do for my parents? And Nancy was over there like waving her hand, like, I'm your girl, like, I got you, right? So that's just amazing for me to have that level of confidence to know that we can be a little bit more comprehensive in our work and support. And then I have a conversation actually tomorrow with North Grand, and I'm anticipating there as well, based on some of the things they told me before, that we need to be sensitive to the fact that we won't just have English speakers. So yeah, to answer your question, it is definitely opening us up, and we anticipated that we would have this element in place before we even started, but opening us up to just really explore being able to serve more of the city.
So Michael, let me ask you, as we're having this discussion here, as the co-founder of Together Chicago, is there anything more you would like to see come out of this program, or are you just very excited about what's happening? I know you are, because Damien is doing some great work, but is there anything more that you would like to see as it really connects to the work that you're doing and the mission and vision of Together Chicago?
Yeah, I think the thing that I'd like to see come out of this is for us to multiply. I mean, I when I first learned about, for example, Parent University, I thought, okay, is there one of these in every side of the city? And I think I learned at that time there was one or two. So I'd love for Parent University, obviously, to spread as resources allows. And then I'd like for what we're doing along together with Parent University in the public schools to continue to spread. So every public school that has need for the services that we offer, we want to be in every one of them. And so I think multiplication is the only thing that I could ask for. I think the quality of what we're doing is outstanding, and Damien is an incredible leader. A leader of leaders, and a facilitator to get this work done, and our churches are responded. I know that there are schools that are waiting for us to get into their school, and we just need to ramp up our volunteer base as well as the funding that we need to make it happen.
Mm-hmm. I'm gonna come back to Nancy. Nancy, I love this when we start to bring in our Spanish speakers, and we got Isabel that put a comment in the chat. I want you to just read this to the audience so that they'll know exactly how to translate in English.
Yes, I was actually just reading that on my. I was wondering when I can interrupt and address it.
Right.
So Isabel I'm going to translate it in English. So she is saying that she's giving thanks to Norma and Sheldon para padres, for providing the assistance for parents because the barrier is the language. And that way we can help our children and our community share the resources that are available in the schools.
Yeah.
So Spanish and English translations are always backwards. So
yeah, you know, and I'm gonna tell you that's not an easy thing to do, from what I understand. You know, you have some very fluent Spanish speakers, but the translation really kind of gets into this. So Yankee Saucedo also put one in the chat. It's not as long, but if you want to translate.
Yankee says, thank you to Norma. Informing the parents that don't speak Spanish.
Yeah.
They're saying thank you for the support for us that are not speaking Spanish.
Yeah, and this is very important. And I want to thank Norma too. Norma
that are not speaking English, not Spanish. They're speaking.
Got you. Yeah, Norma works as our Title I manager and does a lot with our parent board of governors. Matter of fact, we're getting ready to open up the application process for more parents to serve on our parent board of governors. I think we have 7 slots coming up. And we do want more Spanish-speaking parents and representative in each of our communities. So this is what makes parent champions, right? This is what makes our district really work. Our CEO, Dr. Jackson, and Dr. LaTanya McDade, they work really intentionally to make sure that we're being very inclusive. And that's why you see the rollout of a lot of our initiatives here with the Healing Centered Project, with our universal curriculum, with the Title I supports, just so many things that are coming up. So this is really an opportunity to really invite parents. So Damien, talk to me about parents that really will hear this. Now, we're going live here, but of course, after we finish, this will be posted live on our CPS Parent University Facebook page for those who want to go back and listen to the recording. You can share it out. You can let people come in and hear it again. So it will be archived, and it's a historical piece of data for the Parent Champion program. But if more parents want to get involved in this program, where do they go? How do they do this?
Well, I really appreciate that you put that info at togetherchicago.com. That's certainly one way that people can reach us. Simply shoot us an email, right? And we have our internal team that will get that email directly to me. And I'll tell you exactly what I'm going to do. Any parent who's saying that I want more information about the Parent Champions program, as soon as I get connected to you as a parent or somebody from your school, I'm going to ask you, how can we engage and have a conversation with your principal? And as soon as we talk to the principal, we're going to just roll out all of the different opportunities, free opportunities, and then also some opportunities that come that they need, you know, that we need payment to resource. We're going to share all of those options with the principals and simply ask, okay, which of these makes sense for where you all are right now? And what I want to uniquely say is that with our emphasis working in communities that might not have as many students in the schools, that might not have as many resources, it's just a real unique time we have right now, that if you all were not able to onboard parents into any type of support program during the school year, I believe this is a pivotal time where we need to have conversation. So simply, Chip, just have them to reach out to me, to email me, to call us. Email would be best, by the way. And we'll take it from there. We want to connect with that principal, let that principal know that this program is making impact across the whole city, and it needs to be in your school as well.
That's great. So tell me, how special is the Parent Champion program to you, Justin? Give some words that will invite and motivate parents to say, I want to be a part of that.
Oh, simple. This is the layup question. I believe that all parents want what's best for their children, but parenting does not come with an instruction manual. And there is so much misinformation out there, and there is so much to cipher through. And I believe that the Parent Champions program is an essential tool in the parental tool belt, right? I have been able to watch firsthand conflicts, not only between students, but conflicts between parent and student. be de-escalated in record time, simply by utilizing some of the tools and strategies from the Parent Champions program and other SEL, but specifically Parent Champions, and giving parents the tools and the language to be effective, but also to experience success. Can't put a price on it. So, like, if that's my elevator pitch, that's it. That's all I got.
So Nancy, what I want you to do is talk about the motivation to really bring parents in, invite them into the space, invite them into the Parent Champion program. But I want you to do it in Spanish.
Ok, claro que sí. Voy a responder con Isabel porque también ella compartió que muchos años ella ha obtenido esta información en español y entonces para ser parte del programa de Parent Champions es un programa que ayuda a los padres poder ayudar a sus hijos, ¿verdad? En las escuelas y también cómo ellos mismos pueden aprender nuevas destrezas en cómo reducir su estrés, cómo pueden seguir apoyándoles a sus hijos también para que sigan adelante en sus recursos en la escuela y también cómo obtener otros recursos entre la comunidad. Hacer una comunidad de padres para poder aprender destrezas como mindfulness para que uno puede reducir el estrés. Si también ven que sus hijos están estresados o tienen ansiedad, y la salud mental de todos para aprender esas destrezas juntos en una comunidad de la escuela. Y con Damien pueden comunicarse con él si en las escuelas de ustedes donde pertenecen quieren más información. La información está allí en la página de abajo y dice que por correo electrónico sería lo mejor para obtener esa información sobre el programa de Champion Padres.
That's excellent there. Thank you, Nancy. Michael, any words you want to say about the Parent Champion program and how you want to see more parents come into the space?
Well, here's what I want to say. Parents, you're not alone. Parenting is hard. And of course, pandemic makes parenting even harder for kids to learn. And so nobody has to feel ashamed or shy about asking for help. I'm a parent of 4 children. My wife with me. We parented 4, still 1 still at home. We've 3 outside the nest, and we had a group of people that actually helped us to bring our kids through high school and on into college. We had a group of other parents that we consulted with, that we learned from, that we asked questions to. And we watched them as they modeled parenting for academic success. So I want to just say to you, don't think that you're alone or you're the only one with a need or don't be bashful about asking for help. Everybody needs a little help. It takes the village to do it right and to do it well. And so come on and ask, and the help will be there ready to guide you along. And like Home Depot says, you can do it, we can help. I think that's a good motto to end with.
That's true. Right. Well, listen, Justin, I'm going to let Damien have the last word, but I want to thank you, Justin, for all the work that you're doing over at the Westside Christian School. Nancy, for all the work that you're doing. I know you're having a rough time sometimes with parents right now, especially around the tragedy with Adam Toledo. But, you're continuing to push forth, and that's what we really appreciate from all of our counselors, all of our staff, teachers, and parents in Chicago Public Schools. Michael, we'll be in touch, especially through our Office of Faith-Based Initiatives and Reverend Alan Connolly. You all have been great guests, and I really appreciate you all really coming on in, and we'll see you more. But Damien, you are the man, and you got a lot going on here. So in the last few seconds of this show here, do want to thank everybody for attending Parent University's Dorm Room with our guest, Damien Howard from the Parent Champions program under the umbrella of Together Chicago. And I will see you in more of our parent universities, as Michael Allen said. We got 14 sites across our city. And as soon as we get a chance where we can open up comfortably, we're going to be doing some more motivating things. So on behalf of Chicago Public Schools and Family and Community Engagement and Education, I want to thank you for your work. But for your last appeal, Damien, we want to see this thing really grow, because I want to see parents just come out the woodworks. What would you say to them to get them motivated to join the Parent Champions program?
Yeah, Chip, first and foremost, thank you for the invitation and the opportunity for me to be here tonight and have such amazing guests to join me. I want to really speak to the fact that I super regret that our one parent who I invited, Erlene Braggs, I wanted to make it really diverse so that you all can see some of the amazing people who are a part of this program. Deans across the city, district employees from the city, from Chicago Public Schools. We have counselors. It's some amazing people, churches that are partnering with us on this work. And unfortunately, our parent couldn't join. But as a last appeal, parents, I feel like I've made multiple appeals during this time. I just want y'all to be able to hear my heart, right? As Michael said, I'm a parent as well, but I'm not only a parent, I'm a minister, and I'm also a trained educator. So all of who I am and me processing through how I can best show up and use my life to be a vehicle to impact positive change in my city really resulted in this program. It resulted in this work, right? I want to look at you the same way that I look at my parents through this screen. I can't wait till we can kind of touch and hug and all that stuff. But right now it's all virtual, and say to you, I do this work because I know that the change we want to see in the city of Chicago, the change we want to see in our school system, it starts with us being encouraged. It starts with us being empowered. It starts with us feeling like we are well-resourced to be the parents that we need to be for our kids. So that is the appeal that I want to make to the parents. I also want to make an appeal to the district. Whatever ways that we can think about partnering together, sharing space, I want to tell you, Together Chicago is all about partnership, all about how can we come together and do this thing, not in our silos. So we can even imagine that the Parent Champions program might become a vehicle of Parent University. I'll tell you, if that's something that can happen in the future, that will speak so well to my heart, because it's less about the name, it's more about the work. We can care less about what brand is on this stuff. We just want parents from across the city of Chicago to feel fully empowered to be the best version of themselves. And that's the work that we're doing through the Parent Champions program. So excited to be here tonight. It was amazing.
Yeah, this is going to be great. And like I said, you all can really look at this. If you haven't, Damien, share it out with your parents on Facebook Live. You can look at it at CPS Parent University web page on Facebook. And I'm going to tell you, I'm really excited about the work that you're doing and the work that we'll be doing together. That's going to be great too. So, I mean, you've had a great lineup of guests. I want to thank Erlene Braggs, who she was here doing some great work at the Drake Elementary School, where Sydney Galladay is the principal. So I'm really grateful for all of that and the work that's going on with Nancy over at Brighton Park. So, Damien, I just want to appreciate you. Thank you so much for coming to the dorm room, and we will be in touch. Everybody, tune in always Tuesdays at 4:30 for the dorm room with Chip Johnson. I'm here from Family and Community Engagement. I got my promo that I'm getting ready to bring in. And so thank you all for coming. Damien, we'll talk soon. Everybody have a good evening.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.